Okay, good morning, everyone. Yeah, we've got over 100 people in the Zoom meeting, so that's pretty good, really good turnout. So typically at the end of the year, traditionally, juniors would gather in the theater and we go over some important information for you to know for the next step, and kind of congratulate you on the year. Well, you're done. It's been a tough year, right? So, but it's going to be good next year. I think it's going to be way better, some sense of normalcy next year. So a lot to look forward to. And so some of us will go over some information that you need to know. Jen Marston's going to go over some college stuff that you need to know. And so for kids that I've actually talked to in the last couple of weeks who are stressing a little bit about what the next steps for college are, a lot of that's going to be addressed today. So good information coming your way. All right. Yeah. Did I just do that, Diane? Did I just? Okay. All right. So.
No, I did that, Maurice.
Okay, cool. All right. Because I hit the arrow and it changed, so I wasn't sure. All right, so like that meme, okay, that moment when you complete your assignment just before the deadline, great feelings, so you're not stressed out for the end of the year. June 11th is going to be the last day to hand in late assignments for you. So please, please, please get that stuff done so you're not stressing and your grades don't suffer. So once again, reach out to your teachers, see what assignments would be best to turn in if your grade is low, and get that grade up. And so we can move forward. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so as far as finals, once again, those counselors have been fielded a lot of questions as far as final schedules and when finals are going to be. Technically, there is no final schedule, okay? All final exams and projects will take place within the regular schedule. So once again, if you have any questions, reach out to your teachers. So that's going to be next week between the 14th and the 18th, and Friday, June 18th is a half day, which is your last day. So seniors' last day was yesterday, and then next week will be your last day. Congratulations once again.
All right, so here's what you have left to do. Pass any classes required for graduation. If there's some classes that you're currently not passing, feel free to reach out to your counselors to see if that's a class that is required for graduation or to fulfill those requirements. Pay any outstanding fees. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a couple of slides. Pick up, or I don't think the yearbooks are ready yet, but you can still order a yearbook if that's something that you would like to do. And then if needed, sign up for our Rapid Recovery Summer Program. And I'm the school counselor who will be setting that up, so you can reach out to me, even if you just want to check in and see if that would be something that would be beneficial for you. And then also Glenna, our Dean of Students, is signing students up as well. All right, so to pass your classes, 60% will earn you a pass. This will not show up as a D on your transcript. It'll show up as a P, and that means that it will not have any effect on your GPA. And make sure that you're reaching out to your teacher, seeing, checking in on what assignments are missing, what assignments you should be focusing on to get your grade up to passing, or even if you're, on the cusp of a B or the cusp of an A. They'll help you identify specific assignments that you should be focusing on. And then you can turn in any late assignments for full credit, or the credit that you've earned on the assignment by this Friday. Okay, your outstanding fees, you can stop by the main office, or you can give them a call and they will let you know if you have any outstanding fees. These can include if you've checked out books in the library or any other equipment, cafeteria fees, class material fees, and AP testing fees. Yearbooks. So if you are wanting to get a yearbook, you can still order a yearbook. You'll pay this through the main office, or you can pay it on PowerSchool. We're not yet sure when the yearbook will be available for pickup. So the school will let you know as soon as those are ready for you to pick up. And if you are eligible for free or reduced lunch, you can check in at the main office and we can get you hooked up with a price waiver so that you can order a yearbook. And then if you have questions, feel free to take a screenshot, or not a screenshot, but a picture of that email address at the bottom. All right, so a little bit about our summer program. We have 2 3-week sessions. So really you're only needing to be at school for 12 days per session. It's just Monday through Thursday, and you can earn up to 6 credits if you do both sessions. So 3 credits per session. And we'll be offering math, English, health and PE, science. I think we're offering a yoga class and a couple other PE options and some elective options like art. So these will be in person at the high school. You will have to attend, I believe it's 90%, since it's only 12 days. It's no cost to students or families. And again, if you want to sign up, you can talk with Glenna or myself.
Maurice, do you want to cover this one, or do you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I was just trying to get unmuted really fast. Sorry about that. So, okay, graduation live stream is going to be available for students to watch. You can go ahead and do that if you have friends that you want to see graduate. So you can create an account. The link below is a place to go. It's also entered into the chat. I saw Jen Marsden do that earlier. So basically you have to make an account, but please don't pay for it because the high school already pays for a subscription. So just go ahead and create an account, and then you have to sign out and then sign back in. Okay, so 2 important things to remember. Don't pay, and sign out and sign back in.
Okay, so before I get started on this section, I just wanted to let you know that a student did know what the class song for the class of 2021 is, and I also got confirmation from Nora in the office, who knows everything. It is Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, and their flower is the Snapdragon, and their color is virus red, so it's this year's class, and their quote is, "Life is what happens to you when you are busy making other plans." They've attributed that to John Lennon, but came before John Lennon. Anyway, so that's something you all will get to do next year, which is, I know they had fun coming up with their song, especially. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jen Marsden. I'm the AHS College and Career Specialist. My office is in the College Center in the library right when you walk in. So I drop by anytime with questions. So right now you're just going to get a really brief intro to a kind of college and careers 101 we usually do for juniors in the theater, like Maurice said, and spend the whole time kind of talking about that. But don't stress out if what I'm saying is really important to you, because later this morning, you're going to have the opportunity to come to a whole College 101 if you have lots of questions about this. So I'm just going to kind of breeze through a lot of these things, and there'll be other opportunities for you to learn more coming up. Okay, so options coming up for you juniors. Time to start thinking about your life after high school. So for some of you, you might already have an idea of what you want to do after high school. Could be a really simple plan. You've always wanted to go to U of O. You've always wanted to be an electrician. You have an apprenticeship program picked out. You want to, go up to PSU or Lane, or you've got a job plan. So it could be A to B. Senior year is not going to be a lot of stress. For some of you, you've got a few different ideas. You maybe have no idea right now. So the next year is going to be a time for you to really do some exploration, start thinking about what's important to you, what next steps you might want to take. And so you're going to have some time next year, and we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up, about what some of your options might be. So options, lots of options. Often that's overwhelming for students if you don't really know what you want to do next. But don't get paralyzed by the options. We just want you to know that there are a lot of them. And these ones here are maybe not every option, but they're options that a lot of AHS seniors end up choosing for their next steps. So Some seniors end up going to a community college. Some seniors end up going to a professional career type school for culinary, massage therapy, to become a tattoo artist, cosmetology work. Some seniors decide, you know, they're already working in high school and they want to continue working, or they're moving on to a different kind of career pathway. We get internships, students who go into the military. You know, the traditional that most people think about is going to a four-year college or university, whether that's private or public. Apprenticeship programs, we have students who go into apprenticeship programs and becoming a lineman, becoming an electrician, all sorts of opportunities there. And then Job Corps is another route our students take, which is a federal program, and live on their campus, and you get training in all sorts of fields. Okay, next slide.
Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about your youth science results from the youth science aptitude and interest assessment that you took earlier this year, about 3 months ago. And the reason that we're gonna kind of look back at this and really encourage you to look up your results and study them a little bit more is these can be really helpful in beginning to think about what your interests, what your aptitudes, those are those really great hardwired skill sets that you have, how those predict what careers you would be the happiest in. Because not only are you good at the skills that are required in those careers, but you're also would have an interest in them. So those would be the most meaningful. If you haven't finished your youth science assessments, you can still do that. It allows you to jump right back on at any point in the assessment process and complete them. This is just a screenshot of just a little bit of what they share with you. They share a lot more about who you are, not only in a job situation, but in a social situation, in a school situation. They also help you kind of build a resume, you know, finding words that are really good to describe, again, what your skills are. So we want you to jump back and look at your score account where you'll find your youth science results. I will show you a little bit more how to get there in just a minute. But the reason we're encouraging you to do this, again, especially as you're thinking about colleges or honestly any program, whether it's a trades program, whether it's a, you know, an apprenticeship or an internship, that's going to help you find the best fit. And when we do think about creating that list of programs, that beginning list, that draft over the summer and next fall, you know, we want to think about, you know, how does it fit me in my interests? How does it fit if there's a program? How does it fit me in terms of location? Do I want to stay close by? Do I want to, am I open to traveling all the way across the country and attending a program on the East Coast because I'm really interested in experiencing kind of a regional difference in our country? Is it a financial fit? Is it something that I think will fit my family and what my family can contribute or not, so that I can come out of my program as debt-free as possible? Is it a social fit? That means maybe I'm really interested, if I am interested in going to college, maybe I want to go to a college that has a lot more diversity than we have here in Ashland. Maybe I'm interested in going to a program that has a vibrant Greek system. Maybe I don't want to be part of a school that has a Greek system. Maybe I want a school that has a really big sports program. Maybe I don't care if a school has a sports program. These are some of the questions that when you answer, we're going to show you how to find those programs, are going to help you start making some decisions on what you might be interested in. So going back to your score account, okay, when we introduced you and we kind of looked at your score account again this spring, we had you complete your youth science aptitude, and interest assessment. Now, the score account does a lot more than that. And what we've done here is we've taken a screenshot of your profile page. And up there at the top, very top of this, you can see that in blue, it says college search. If you're somebody who is ready to start thinking about college or university, your score account can really help you with this. Once you click onto that, it will help you by asking you, what are your preferences? Some of those questions I just brought up. Are you up for going to a school, far, far away? Are you interested in a smaller school or a really big school? Do you want to be near a city, or would you prefer to be in a kind of a more rural, natural area? Once you share all these preferences in your score account, Score will create a list for you, and it'll say all of these schools fit your individual criteria. Remember, it'll also ask you about your beginning ideas of a major. Are you really passionate about art? Do you want to make sure there's art at that school? Are you interested in early education? Are you interested in engineering, nursing, becoming an architect? You can list any of those items, and it will only choose schools that have developed programs in those areas. So as you see from this screenshot, it automatically shows you colleges near Ashland. It'll take your zip code and just kind of list everything that's really close here. Once that you have a list of schools, you can click on those schools and it will provide you with all the information you need to research it further. You can take virtual tours. You can learn about their social life by going on to what's called their wall. And their wall has all of the different school organizations, student-run clubs, all that kind of thing on there. You can find out what kind of grades you need to have to get into it. Huge amount of information here. So those of you who are beginning to explore college or university as a next step, and that means 2-year also, because if you look down there at the bottom of the page, we see Klamath Community College, Rogue Community College. You can find out a lot just from this site. You don't have to Google or get on a browser and search for every single individual school. This will give you that information. All right, so remember, your username is just your ASD Connect email, and then your password is the same one. We had you use the password, that's the same one you use to log into PowerSchool. So all you do is search Score, and Score will come up, and then your Score will say login. Use your username, password, it'll take you to your account. If you want to look at your U-Science, you're going to scroll down the page under My Profile and find your U-Science results. But otherwise, you have all these other search possibilities available to you. All right, Jen.
Okay, I'm already unmuted. So this is just following up on what Diane was saying in terms of finding a college or career pathway that's a good fit for you. You're going to hear a lot about that next year. We talk about finding a good fit for you a lot. And a lot of finding a good fit is doing your research, like Diane was just talking about, using Score, using all sorts of different opportunities you might have to learn about schools, to learn about career pathways, to figure out what's gonna maybe be a good next step for you. So one thing students ask a lot about if they're looking at potentially applying to various schools is, well, how many schools should I apply to? And you always want to apply to schools that you think are going to be a good fit, that have the academic programs you're interested in. But a lot of students have lots of different goals, right? We have students who want to play their sport in college. We have students who want to apply to schools that might be really in terms of getting in. Like Diane said, you always need to find a school that has the program of study that you're interested in. And traditionally, when students were applying to multiple schools, they talked about if you were looking at schools that you might be a great fit for that school, but they only let in, say, 4% of their students, like a school like Stanford or Harvard. That would be considered your reach school. And then you have your realistic schools, like the schools that you have a pretty good chance of getting into, but you're not quite sure. And and then your for sure schools that you know you're going to get into. So over the years, talked to a lot of students. Students used to focus a lot on their reach schools and give very little energy to their for sure schools. So their for sure school would be OSU or RCC, you know, depending on what their goals were. And then they were super disappointed when they didn't get into their reach schools and they hadn't really researched and weren't super excited about their for sure schools. So I really, really encourage students who are looking at a variety of schools to make sure you have schools that have what you want that are in all of these categories. If your for sure school, if your dream is to go to U of O and you know you're going to get in and you know your family can afford it, that might be pretty easy for you. One thing I didn't mention is the financial one, which you can see on there. So for a lot of our students, it's not about academic reach or athletic reach. Like say your athletics are super important to you. You'd love to play D1, but you're not really sure that's going to happen. So you're maybe looking at some D3 schools. Maybe you've even heard from some community college coaches, so that's how yours, if that's a really important fit for you, that's how your for sure realistic and reach might play out. For most of our students who are primarily looking at academics and programs of study, they get into the majority of schools they apply to. And what it comes down to is what is a financial reach school for their family, and what's a financial realistic, and what's a financial for sure. And so I'm going to mention it now, but you'll hear me talk about it a lot next year. And if you've come to any of the college info nights, it's really important for you to start talking to your families. If your parents or guardians aren't already having those conversations with you about, if they're planning to help contribute, if you want to go to college or you want to go to a professional training school, if your family has money to contribute, and to start to let you know that as you do your research. And if they don't, like a lot of families don't, they love you, they support you, they want to help you as much as they can. It's good for you to know that. And if they say just go for it, then you just go for it, and we'll talk about the details of that in the fall. Okay, next slide. Okay, so really important, like Diane said, part of doing your research, and since things are opening back up again, you all are very lucky. You can start to get on college campuses if you haven't already. There's also so many opportunities to do virtual tours now. Colleges have really boosted what's available on their websites. In COVID, there's all sorts of info sessions, a day in the life of a student. One thing, if you're a student who's considering private colleges for your universities, Oregon has every summer what's called Oregon Private College Week, where you can go to some of the different private colleges campuses, Lewis and Clark, Reed, Willamette, Linfield, Pacific, and check them out and then apply to those schools for free. It's a great opportunity if you're thinking about private colleges, even if you're thinking, I really want to get out of Oregon, to start to get a sense of what different private college campuses feel like. And same thing with the big universities or smaller state universities. It's really important. You have an idea in your head of what these schools are like, but I can't emphasize enough actually getting on a campus and getting a sense of what it feels like to be in an urban campus versus a rural campus. All of those things are important. So get out there and start to explore. Okay, so our resources in the chat, I put a link to the AHS College Handbook. We have hard copies of these. These are a great resource that we put together every year for our students. They're geared to guide juniors through senior year. The first page is a junior checklist, and then it goes into a senior checklist. We are going to bring hard copies of these for those of you who'd like a hard copy around to your English classes next Monday and Tuesday. If you want to stop by my office Friday, you want one sooner, feel free to come by and say hi and introduce yourself. So I'm just going to give you a little brief synopsis here of some of the things that are really useful in the handbook. Like I said, the checklist, lots more information and questions about how you find an educational pathway that's a good fit for you. There's information about how to sign up for the SAT, ACT. You've probably seen this in the Grizogram or emails. We have begun offering the SAT and ACT again at AHS. Capacity has been limited due to COVID. Schools, all colleges that I've seen, as you might have heard, during COVID, because students didn't have the opportunity to take the SAT and ACT. Every college I know made submitting scores optional. That is going to remain true for your class going into senior year. But for some schools, if you're applying to competitive schools, it might help you to have scores to submit. So if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. Also really important to know that if you qualify for free and reduced lunch, you can get fee waivers to take the ACT and SAT. So we absolutely don't want students to pay for a test they don't need to pay for. So reach out to me or your counselor if you have questions about that. Also, all the Oregon public universities no longer require SAT or ACT scores for admission. That changed last year. So that's good to know. Also, a lot of information about how to apply to colleges in the handbook. Common App, if you haven't heard of it and you're applying to private colleges, that is an online application that pretty much every private college and many public universities also use now. And if you're really interested in a lot of this and you're thinking you're going to apply to private schools or four-year universities or even community colleges, I will go into depth about some of this at the meeting later this morning. So there's info on letters of recommendation. Private colleges want students to have letters of recommendation, and then lots of information about financial aid and scholarships. And also Aspire, if you don't know about Aspire, I also coordinate that program, and it's a program where we have adult mentors from the community who work with students one-on-one to help you find a pathway that's a good fit, help you with your application. So if that's something that interests you, reach out to me. I also put my email in the chat and I can help connect you with an Aspire mentor. And then another resource, all the college info sessions, score info sessions, financial aid that we've done this year. There's recordings of them on the AHS YouTube channel. So you can also look for those. And someone just asked if we could put in the chat a link to SCORE. So maybe Diane, you could put the SCORE link in there for them. And U-Science is embedded in SCORE. So there's
Okay, yep, I'll do that.
okay. And then, so one thing you could do this summer, and there's a section on this in the handbook, is begin your activities chart, which, oops, we just skipped ahead. So there's a hard copy to do that in the handbook if you want that. There's also a form on the AHS website under counseling services forms. So all colleges, scholarship applications are going to ask for some version of an activity chart. It's also great if you're planning to work and you're going to be working on your resume, which is another thing you'll be working on next year, because activities, things you volunteer doing, are really good things to put on a resume as well, and also help you think of the skills that you've acquired while you're in high school. So that's something that you can start working on over the summer. Good thing to talk to your parents or guardians about, friends, because they'll remember things that, oh yeah, I forgot, the summer between 8th and 9th grade, I, volunteered at Science Works. So anything from after 8th grade graduation on is game for your activity chart when you're applying to colleges. Okay, next slide. And then, so this is a follow up on that. So you've got summer coming, things are opening up, lots of opportunities this summer to volunteer, to job shadow, to get a job, to build your resume. We have right out in the hallway outside of the counseling office, a job board, a training board, information that different employers and organizations have been sending to the counselors. I had a student, a 9th grader, in yesterday wanting help with her resume, and she was thinking maybe a good first job for her might be in housekeeping at a hotel. So we were working on her resume and we walked out there to check the job board, and there was what's that inn at the end of town? The Winchester Inn was looking for housekeepers, no skills required. So she was super excited. So there are opportunities, actually more than usual, especially if you're interested in maybe getting a first job in food service. They're paying really well, $15, $16 an hour. So if you're interested in getting a job this summer, they're definitely, if you want help creating a resume, let me know. And then just a reminder for the class of 2022, for community service hours, it was on the last slide, but instead of the 100, because of COVID, you all are only required 25 hours of community service and or paid work. So if that's something you haven't done yet and turn those hours in, you'll have time to do that next year. But the summer is a good time to maybe get some community service hours in if you don't have any. And then if we've just totally overwhelmed you with all this information, there's help on the way, right? Next year, you're going to have a lot of support with all of this. All seniors will have a CCR class, career and college readiness. So in fall semester, every senior will have CCR. If you're signed up to take AP Econ, your CCR is embedded in that class. So you'll actually be starting some of the CCR activities over the summer as part of your AP Econ homework. So in that CCR class, you will do a lot of college and career exploration. You will have time to work on your college applications, job applications. You're gonna probably get sick of seeing me, hopefully in person next year. This year it was all on Zoom and with videos, but I will come in right from the beginning to start talking about your options, talking about how you apply for financial aid and scholarships, give you time to do those applications. We'll talk about gap year opportunities, work, apprenticeships, internships, all of it. You're also going to get a lot of support on resume writing, cover letter writing, interviewing skills, and a big piece of CCR also is personal finance, learning about how to manage your budget, learning credit cards, credit, interest rates, things that are really important once you get out there in the real world. Okay, next slide. So yay, I love this picture. Excuse me, I have a question. So if any of you have questions, feel free. You can put them in the chat. It's hard for us to see your hands. Maybe we'll turn back to like the big screen where we can see you all, but I just want to let you know at 11 o'clock today, right, I will do a more amped up version of kind of a College Pathways 101, the application process, both college and 4 years. This will be at my office hours, which let me put it in the link in the chat again. So there's my office hours. Oh, I just sent that to someone privately. Here, let me put it to everyone. Oops. So yeah, come to this link at 11 o'clock today, the link I just put in the chat. If you want to learn more, have individual questions about this, or if any of you want to unmute and ask some questions, we're happy to hang out for a little while and answer questions as well.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, so
you.